I don't know. I just enjoy the love conversation and everything that entails. And I think one of the things that I was kind of curious about before we land the plane, as Chase likes to say, I think social media is a very interesting place. Social media, I find it a very interesting place. It's an experiment. It's all those things. And so within the Wow.
Siri.
Within the social media realm, specifically Twitter, right? My FBI agent is doing homework right now. He enjoys the podcast, by the way, so he
enjoys
He does. So within the Twitter sphere, specifically Twitter, I feel like there is this big, almost divide that's kind of happening between men and women. To where the word that I hear a lot of times like manhood is there's an affront against manhood. I don't know what that means, but that's kind of the things that I hear nowadays because men are apparently toxic and trash and all the other words that are kind of associated with that, and then you see some guys and certain behaviors, you're like, dang, man, we were just doing good, and then here you go, acting up,
many of those out there,
there's too many. Just when you just come to defend us, somebody does something, you're like, man, you just send us back, man, is there such a thing as, is there a healthy manhood that we can hopefully get to in a sense that helps us kind of navigate through the time and age that we're in right now?
Yeah, I think it is, bro. And, so one of the things I did when we started, around the time we started, I started like researching different podcasts on YouTube for a lot of different reasons. One reason Mitch was like, hey, we want to understand, to a certain degree, who's our competition. I say competition in quotation just because, like, not necessarily we're trying to knock people out, but, like, they've set an example. They're doing good. This is what we want. And I came across a specific podcast. I don't know if I can name it on here.
Is there FF?
Yes.
Okay.
F and F, yes.
Yeah.
And I stopped because I got angry. And I was like, you don't deserve the internet. Like, you don't deserve Siri. You don't deserve Google Maps. Get a MapQuest book.
Wow.
You don't deserve email. You don't deserve Wi-Fi.
Wow.
None of it.
Maybe a light bulb, but that's pushing it.
Yeah.
But, like, give me your smartphone. It's been fun.
Wow.
And I think, to your question, I think one of the things is, as men, we have to be okay with being challenged. Because they have, like, and if it sounds like I'm getting on them or I'm hating, I'm not. But it's just genuinely, they do have a platform and, like, they've built it up for a reason and they've gotten so big. But it's like, bro, like, I don't know how many videos you watch, but I could see the hurt and the pain. You know what I'm saying? And so I think as men, another thing we have to do is, like, before we step into some of these spaces, we have to address some of the things that we've got internally, right? Because it's very clear when somebody's communicating from a place of hurt, from a place of pain, from a place of trauma. And I wholeheartedly believe that those two men are gifted. You don't get the following they got without some sort of gift. But I think the pain and whatever they've been through has kind of twisted it. It has kind of shaped it and molded it. And so I think another part of us getting to a healthy place of manhood is, like, being okay, comfortable, and consistent in addressing that trauma, addressing that hurt, addressing that pain. And then doing what we see a lot of people doing, having the open conversations, inviting people in. You know what I'm saying? Don't just get a camera, get a microphone, press record, and just talk. Another part of it is you learn when you have those conversations with people. You gain freedom. Revelations, 12:11. You know what I'm saying? They overcome by the word of their testimony. Bring other people in. Invite that freedom into your space. You know what I'm saying? Like, these conversations, they give freedom. But they don't happen if you just get a camera and talk by yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, also allowing people in your space. But yeah, bro, I get real irked when I see people who have real deal talent, which they do. People have a real deal gifting to communicate, which they do. And they use it to just degrade and just push their own, like, project so heavily on people. And it's like, as men, we cannot do that. I still believe that the Lord has called us to lead. And that's in every single area, right? So if we're out here communicating all these different things, and we could go on and on, right, about some of the ridiculous things we've heard men say. Women are this, men should do this. Even the provider conversation, that's a conversation even in Christian circles. We got to continually kind of reassess, right? We got to massage that. But if we're not having those conversations, we're not allowing people in. If we're not being honest and open, first and foremost with the Lord in our personal time, those things are going to seep out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I think we could definitely get there, but it's like the openness, the humility to be corrected, and to have people come in and say, I know you've seen and only experienced these things, but let me kind of open you up to like another side of it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that's crazy that we was both thinking the same people.
no, it's. I saw because I posted a question about people. I posted a confession about people leaving their phones in their back pocket, and one of my friends, she messaged. She was like, "Well, women's pockets are too small," and I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Well, apparently back in the day, they didn't want women to have pockets so they can depend on men." And I was like, "This can't be real."
What?
And she found an article.
Yo.
I was like, "This is probably one of the craziest things I ever heard." But anyway, so besides that, but to your point of dealing with things in I think just growing up, I've always kind of had a perspective, from life experiences of what a man should be.
Yeah.
And I remember there was this guy, he's actually one of the pastors at the Upper Room. I was listening to one of his sermons.
Who, Reward?
No, Brother Peter Lewis. And he was talking about, he was giving the sermon, and he said it was in a time where he was angry with one of his kids. I think that's what happened. And he was about to do something, and the Lord reminded him, he says, that I am gentle.
Wow.
And I remember simply just hearing that.
Wow.
It made me take a step back, and as a man, and what I thought a man should be. And I was like, where does the gentleness part of that kick in?
Right.
It is not that. So gentleness measures.
Only using the proper amount of force that's necessary.
There it goes.
It's not harmlessness.
Yeah, you being able to use that necessary amount of force, right, to be able to accomplish something, and it's one of those things that I think about.
Yeah.
Being gentle as a person, because for some reason I go around, people just think I'm an angry dude. I'm some dude that's just like gonna scare them. So that's why I started enjoying wearing my do-rags, because it kind of adds to the stereotype. I like that part.
Gotcha.
But on the inside, I'm thinking about gentleness. Because it's something that I think is important for us as men to embrace.
Yeah.
Because that's not always something that we're able to express or show or anything like that. Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like allowing. I've learned to sit in what it means to allow myself to feel things. Because I think even as a man, like,
that's what he does. He cries a lot.
Wow.
It's okay. We've talked about it.
No, everybody already knows it's out there.
Cry a
It's
lot.
kind of how you said it, though.
No, but he cries a lot. It's okay.
I forgive you. It's okay.
No, like legitimately.
Bro, you good.
I'm just messing with you. But I think I'm learning.
Dang, you really need to watch The Office to learn what a joke is.
Oh yeah,
should.
my bad.
You should stop watching All
American.
American.
Yeah, I know.
Like not. Anyways, goodness. So yeah, I've learned like what it means to like allow myself to feel, and it's a tough thing because it's a fine line of allowing yourself to feel things and not allowing the feelings to overtake you. Because I've seen it in myself where I allow those feelings to overtake me, and it's like that's all I see. I'm angry, and that's all that matters. Like, all that matters is that you did something wrong to me, and I'm going to communicate how I want to. I'm going to talk to you how I want to. I'm going to yell at you, scream, all that kind of stuff. And now my anger, my emotions, something that if explored and expressed properly, not only help me understand about myself, but it also helps you understand about me, kind of come and kind of taking this shift, and now they're a weapon to make you, it's now almost my goal to make you as mad as I'm mad because, you know what I'm saying, that's how I feel. And I think probably one of the deeper forms of intimacy is actually allowing people to see you hurt. You know what I'm saying? Allowing people to see you cry. You know, allowing people to see you happy, confused. As a man, one of my biggest things is when I'm dating a woman, I don't ever want to be in a situation where I don't know something. I'm now allowing myself to be like, I don't know. Figure it out. Come back in like a day or something, I'll have an answer, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I think the best example I can give scripturally is the Lazarus story, right? You know, we all know he was like 2 days away, or he waited a couple of days, then he got there. And he cried, you know, he wept. And I think the beauty in that is there was a reverence that like Jesus had for the mission that the Lord had given him, but there were still emotions that he had present for his friend. And we know this because when he raised him from the dead, he literally tells the disciples, like, I did this so that you would believe. And so it's the perfect example of expressing my emotions, but not allowing my emotions to overtake me to the point that I'm now outside of the will of God. And I think, man, that's such a beautiful reminder as a man, because it's like there's a space that I can operate where my emotions can be expressed and I don't forfeit, you know, my right to be a part of what the Lord is doing because I'm angry or because I'm sad or because, you know, I'm happy. And, you know, sometimes happiness, you know, the feeling of being happy can actually be very dangerous. There have been times where I'm really happy and I've bought like 3 pairs of shoes at one time. And I'm like, yeah, I love these shoes, but this was a bad choice.
Yeah.
You know, like this is not a good idea. And so it's like, I think we have to find that. And again, like it's beautiful. I think that's my favorite thing to point back to when we talk about emotions, because that's Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Jesus wept. You know what I'm saying? Like the power behind that isn't just in the tears. Again, it's in the recognition that my emotions are not the most important thing here. And that's tough. Because when you feel something, that's what you feel. Like it's again, some emotions are easier than others. Like if I'm frustrated because I'm in traffic, I'll be fine in 10 minutes. But like I remember, you know, navigating losing my grandfather in 2019, and it was like this. It was up and down. And so it's good to know that there's an example of not forfeiting that, but also the Lord's like, nah, don't cry. It's not like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that.
Yeah. And I think he doesn't even know, but I was totally joking earlier. Thanks for the forgiveness. But I think just seeing him, like, just whether it's journaling or just hearing him in prayer and things like that, I think it's helped me out, you know, so you probably didn't know that. You know, kind of reckoning, because I grew up a certain way.
Right.
And I always thought, you know, you had to be a certain way, especially as a man. And seeing a different side, you know, with a roommate and a brother, you know, has allowed me to be like, man, let me kind of reevaluate some of these things that I thought was supposed to be this way, but it's okay to, you know, express certain things. Like there's a few people that have seen me cry. She's one of the people that have seen me cry, right? And for some reason, I didn't like that. Not understanding, dude, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to cry. It's okay to, because there was a time where, you know, I prided myself in not crying. I was like, man, I haven't cried in 10 years. I'm good, you know? And then the one time I did cry because I lost my friend, I thought the world was over. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I mean, so that's just a good perspective that you brought up, I think, with the Lord and how he allows us to express and feel certain things. And he doesn't slap us with the faith thing. You know, we definitely don't lose faith, but he allows us to be able to express emotions. But I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add to that.
Appreciate that encouragement.
Hey, look, I like
That's
it.
good though. I just, I don't know. I just think it's so cool because I just think it's so needed of just everything that you're talking about. And it's interesting. I didn't want to bring this up. I'm not going to read it, but I'm just going to mention it just for the sake of mentioning it. And y'all could read it later if y'all want. But I write a good amount, sometimes for like devotional teaching kind of stuff, but sometimes more expressive kind of stuff. And I wrote this. I wrote this expressive piece like back in July of last year because of some things I was going through, and I titled it "Pain is Necessary in Pursuing Love." And I don't think just romantically either. I think like friendships too. And essentially the end of it is like pain is sometimes necessary in pursuing love, and it's sometimes necessary to know your heart is feeling and actually open to receiving love. Because there was a lot of numbness I went through in like 2017 through basically like early last year because of like previous girlfriend who just did some not nice things. I'll just put it that way. And yeah, I walked through a lot in like 2018, 2019 and dove into business and travel and all this other stuff as a way to kind of like lie to myself about the numbness. And I'm grateful to the Lord that he redeemed that and was able to use all of that for good, and walk with me a lot through that process. But it's in like 2021 it was I still don't have words for it, but it was one of the most like important processes that I ever walked through the Lord with, of like him recreating like a heart of flesh in me.